Hey everyone, welcome back to the Seiji Bard podcast. I am Bard.
And I'm Seiji.
All right, today we're going to be talking about race in America through our experience. We're going to get a little bit more personal. First question, let's get right into it. Seiji, have you ever experienced racism?
Yeah.
Racism?
I have a couple of times. Like I mentioned before in prior episode, that was in Canada and at different times in California as well as Oregon.
Oh, so you did here?
Yeah.
Tell me about what happened here.
Over here, there was a lady near LAX who, I guess she was angry I wasn't letting her in, or I can't even remember, but she started yelling at me and telling me that I needed to go home.
You're like, no,
like,
after the airport, I gotta pick someone up first. So I'm going home after that.
Yeah, so it was kind of unusual.
What do you mean? I am home.
Yeah.
All right. So racism. There was one case in America where I experienced racism. And let me break that down for you guys. So one time I was walking. I was in front of a hospital. I was actually leaving work. I used to work at a hospital. This is when I was in my late teens, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe 20. And at the time I was living in Florida, moved to Florida for high school, moved from California, family moved. And so I'd been in Florida for probably about 5 years or 6 years at this point. And so as I was walking, I was getting close to my apartment. I think I was 18 at the time actually, because I lived right by the hospital, so I was 18. So I'd been in Florida for about 4.5 years. I did all of high school. Anyway, so this guy in a Jeep Cherokee, it was like a green Cherokee, drives by and yells the N-word at me, right? And my first response was, is that endearing? Was that the endearing one? Or was that the hateful version, sir? Actually, I actually knew he was being racist. It was a white guy, and he peeled out. He made a big deal of it. And the funny thing was, one day I was walking home, probably 2 weeks after that, maybe a month. But this time, instead of walking on the main road, I'm walking on the back road, which is one street back. And I pass this house, and I see that same Jeep. I'm like, wow. Is this my chance to be endearing?
You know,
so yeah, that was the one chance.
It's funny, Bard, like when you're talking about that, most recently I was in Oregon. I think it was about a summer or two ago, and I was doing some work on one of my properties over there. And this guy comes riding across on a bicycle, right? And I'm with a couple guys who work with me, right? And we're working on something. And he starts, again, yelling at me about how I need to go home. And I'm thinking, I just started laughing at him.
I just left home.
You know, well, I was like, I'm on my property. I started laughing at him. Like, I literally started laughing at him. And then he got more upset, but.
I would have been like, I am home. What do you mean? Like,
but in terms of what you mentioned with the N-word, when I was in school in Canada, it was the first time I ever had heard the term Apache. And someone called me that in Canada, and I had never heard it before, so I assumed that they thought I was Pakistani.
Okay.
And I said, well, you know, Pakistan and India are really close to each other. It didn't affect me until I went back and I started talking to some of my Canadian friends, and they told me it was actually not a term of endearment.
Oh, he wasn't being endearing? See, that's where it's bad. Now, guys, we're going to move into, real quick, we're going to be talking about a segment Candace Owens did where she's discussing a racist teacher. Now, just to put it out there, I do not agree with everything Candace Owens says, but this is where the clip popped up. It was actually, I think it was someone else was reviewing her video, a guy named Anton Daniels. He was reviewing, I watched Anton. I don't agree with everything he says either, but he was reviewing Candace Owens' video where she talked about this racist teacher, a black teacher in the state of Texas. All right, so what happened was, just gonna give you guys, we may play the video, we may not. If you see it pop up at this time right now, that means we're playing it.
Yeah.
If not, that means I forgot to put it in. Okay, so anyway, so this racist teacher had a profile. Was it on TikTok? Somewhere online. And basically in her profile, she was talking poorly about white people. What happened was she got home, I guess one day, I guess she lived with her sister.
Yeah.
And her sister had a white boyfriend, right? So she sees a white arm around him. Maybe there was a wall blocking and she only saw the white arm. And she's online complaining about how pasty his arm is. You know, so she's making fun of his skin color.
Yep.
Which is, oddly enough, what racist white people did to black people.
Yeah.
You know, which is interesting. Why would you turn around and do it to a white person? She even joked about killing him, which is pretty disgusting, but...
It's a pretty funny joke, though. No.
Maybe she meant killing him softly, like, you know,
Yeah.
the Fugees.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was another term of endearment we're not familiar with. We're not familiar, we don't understand it. So, she joked about killing him, which, oddly enough, once again, this something racist white people will joke about doing when it came to black people and other minorities. So I'm starting to notice some similarities. And she joked about how, and then people online found out
what her real name was.
found out what her, you know, you can't. People online are really good. They find people. They found out what her real name was because she had a pseudonym online. She had a fake name, and they found out she worked at a school. They found out she was a teacher. So she was a first grade teacher. They told the school.
The brainwashing begins early.
Yes, gotta start them early. Black teachers cannot be racist. Come on now. It's all endearment. It's all endearment. So what happened was the school district, she then goes back online feeling empowered because they didn't fire her. So she gets back online and she taunts the trolls on Twitter. Not the trolls, but the Twitter sleuths, internet sleuths. She taunts them saying, there's one thing I'm not going to be, and that's unemployed.
Yep.
Or there's one thing you can't call me, and that's unemployed. So you can call me everything you want, but you can't call me unemployed. Next thing you know, she's unemployed. She loses her job. So what we want to do is we want to talk about the...
Bard, the issue, though, is a lot of times, and you can see this in countless videos, and we'll definitely pop some of these up here on like YouTube Shorts, is that in our country, we live at a time where, at least for the last few years, it's basically not possible to be black or colored of any sort and racist. Only white people have the capacity
to be racist.
To be racist.
We have a force field around us. You don't see it?
Yeah.
It doesn't allow us to be racist. So basically, so the discussion is, there's a book, I don't know who the author is, but there's a book where the author is arguing. I think the author is actually white too. Mm-hmm. I think it's a female white author, and she's arguing that African Americans can't be racist because racism is a institutional construct that I guess is enforced by institutions like could be anything, library, post office, you know, whatever.
So then
banks.
those institutions are, I'm guessing they would be white control, like the post office is white control.
Right. Any sort of white institution that they control. That's where that in those instances, because that's how Jim Crow.
So basically,
and certain things were enforced.
An Indian can use the N-word against another dark-skinned individual and not be racist.
Exactly. So you're
that
free.
Makes sense.
You're free. You're free, my nigga.
Well, that makes
that
me
was
feel
endearment, by the
better.
way. That was all
well,
endearment.
That's the way I took it.
Did you feel it? Did you feel the warmth? All right. So anyway, I disagree that, and as you can see, we're joking around about this term of about the N-word being used, but basically saying that African Americans can't be racist opens up, and then saying that you can't be racist is one thing, but saying that you can't be racist because it's an institutional thing is another, and that's where the Achilles heel is. If you just said it's black people can't be racist, cut it at that. It's stupid, but people go along with stupid all the time.
Yeah.
But when you start adding things like institution, then it opens up all minorities to be racist to white people.
Yeah.
Which in and of itself is racism. Okay. Now, here's how I put it. If a person goes up to a white person and does something racist, like hate crimes, like for instance, this also means that a black person couldn't be charged with a hate crime, or no one else could be charged with a hate crime except for white people, because we aren't part of the institution. Racism happens at a one-to-one level and an institutional level, and I think this is the flaw in the author's position in terms of institutional racism. What do you think about that?
I think that she sounds, my professional opinion is that she's retarded.
She's retarded?
Yeah, I mean, that's the best I can come up with. I mean, it's so dumb that...
In an endearing way, though.
Yeah. I mean, with all due respect.
With all due respect to the retards.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so basically, well, no one's a retard. That's actually a bad word, but, you know, obviously she is acting in a retarded way, even though she's not. So she's culturally appropriating.
Well, no, she really might be.
She might be.
I mean,
or she's culturally appropriating people who are actually mentally retarded, which in and of itself is a problem. That's another problem that we need to bring up to her publisher so we can get her canceled. All right, so let us know what you guys think in the comments about the black supremacist teacher. Let us know what you think down below. Can black people, in fact, be racist? Based on our jokes and our arguments, I believe we can be. I believe, as a Christian, I believe that God is watching me, and if I were to go up and start beating up a white person and calling them racial slurs, that is, in fact, racism.
Well, the thing is, I think racism has many forms, and I believe that every population, every ethnic group has the capacity to be racist. It's, I mean, right, that's, I mean, like darker skinned Filipinos against lighter skinned Filipinos, lighter skinned Indians against darker skinned Indians.
Which happens every day. It's happening right now.
Exactly. So, and I think racism in a lot of those places might actually be worse than the racism that we actually see here in the United States.
And that's a great point you bring up, because in some of these countries, now we're talking about outside of the United States institution. Yeah. So what you're now arguing is that racism only exists here and within the white institutions.
Yeah.
Which is insane, because Indians do it again, like you said, against other Indians.
Yeah.
There are no Negroes or African Americans involved.
No.
So it makes no sense, guys. Yes, you can be racist, and yes, you can be charged with a hate crime. Well, black people are charged with hate crimes all the time.
Well, here's the thing. This is what I was thinking while I was thinking about this whole topic, which is, you know, when we're looking at the idea of black people, right? But you have black people within Mexican culture, within Indian culture, within African culture. I mean, so then you have lighter skinned people and you have darker skinned people. Maybe all the black people from all of these cultures should unite and have their own black category. You know, whether you're a darker skinned Mexican or a darker skinned Brazilian, darker skinned Indian, because you're all, I mean, to one group of people, you're black.
Right, you are black, that's true. Let me kind of go over a few racist things she said, just real quick. Yeah. She called them pasty. Now, I know I mentioned that she was making fun of his white. Now, here's a point that I want to make. She mentioned that it wasn't directed at all whites, but if you call one black person the N-word and you refer to their black skin as being horrible, or whatever the term is that they use, something that means bad, does that not apply to other black people? I don't understand that logic.
Well, and the thing that she was referring to the guy who was pasty, and that was her sister's boyfriend.
Her sister's boyfriend. Now, what I want to do is I want to get into, we're going to move into just a couple of examples of how I feel that African Americans are starting to act like racist white people. Not normal white people, but the racist ones, the abnormal ones. All right, check this out. So the fact that she's making fun of his skin, that's that's a problem, okay? That's what racist white people have done, and it's not cool, right? But it's not to say that blacks are necessarily only behaving like whites, but the influence of African Americans that we've seen has been in this country. Black people didn't learn how to be racist from Africans over in Africa, or from people in India, or from anywhere else. They learned how to be racist here at home.
Yep.
And they're modeling some of the racist behavior. Let me give you a couple more examples. Joking about killing the other race. That's something that white supremacists do all the time online.
Yeah, and you know, unbelievably, even when black people apply it to white people now, it's still not that funny.
It really isn't funny. It's disgusting. Now, so she joked about killing him. So let me ask you, so is that racist or is that not racist? Is that the argument that some people who say that black people can't be racist is they say that it's prejudice. We can be prejudiced or biased, but how is threatening to kill or wanting to kill or joking about killing a white person prejudice? How's that prejudging them and how's that biased? That's none of those things. That doesn't make any sense. What do you think about that?
I think, just stepping back from that, it's just, how is that even acceptable in our society in 2023 to be talking like that?
It's not acceptable.
It's just,
let's flip it around. Let's say a white person was joking about killing a black person. Would that not be something that a black person would take seriously?
they should.
So why wouldn't that white person also take that seriously? No one's going to see that as bias or prejudice. Prejudice means it's something based on this person. You're assuming this person is a certain way because of their race or their skin color, right?
Well,
she's doing neither. She's just saying she wants to kill him.
well, this is where, the golden rule in the Bible, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So it's like treat
That's
other
right.
people the way you want to be treated.
Right. You notice how that transcends race
Yeah,
and
exactly.
ethnicity? So even the Bible's not playing around with you guys. Racism can be any direction. To leave it out or to put the burden only on white people creates more racism. It creates more opportunities for minorities to then be racist towards white people. And I don't think that's fair for anyone. I think it hurts minorities. It makes them say and do racist things, and it hurts white people, and it further divides the country. But maybe that was maybe that was what they wanted.
I'm glad she lost her job. She should. Hopefully she never is able to teach again, or at least she needs to go to some counseling
training
programs and maybe be a little less ignorant.
Right, exactly. So I think now here's another way that I see that I've noticed when Barack Obama became president. Within the first couple months of him becoming president, there was a story that ran on the news where a group of black guys beat up a white dude who had a black girlfriend. I had never seen anything like that. The only instances I saw of people beating up other people because of someone they were dating was white guys beating up black guys for dating a white woman. And then now it's happening in the reverse. Black guys beating up.
That's the ultimate form of cultural appropriation.
That ought to learn you. So they beat this guy up simply because he was white and he was dating a black woman. That's
so sad.
racism.
That's so sad.
And that's modeled after what white people used to do to racist white people, not normal white people, used to do to black people. They used to beat them up if they were found with a black woman, and worse, lynch them sometimes.
Yeah.
So now let's all right, we're gonna take a quick break. After the segment, we will be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the Seiji Bard podcast. We are talking about the next question. Should we care if another group, another ethnicity doesn't want to marry us because of our ethnicity? Seiji, let's say a Italian.
Yeah.
Say this beautiful Italian woman. Beautiful Italian woman. Her family doesn't want her to marry you because
This is all in the past, by the way.
doesn't want her to marry you because he's just too smart. No, I'm joking. Because of your ethnicity.
Yeah.
Like, what if they're like, we don't. Is that preference or is that racism?
I would still say it's more of a preference thing. It could go both ways, I think, though. Like, would it make me feel bad? Yeah, it would make me feel bad. If they're basing
No
it solely
spaghetti for you.
Yeah. if they're basing it solely on how I look, yeah, it would definitely make me feel bad. But if the fact of the matter, if someone else doesn't want you in their family, it makes marriages hard enough.
Right.
You don't want to put more roadblocks in.
So here's the thing, because this pops up a lot with interracial marriage, right? A lot of people, it comes down to, do I listen to my parents or do I do what I want to do?
Yeah.
And the thing is marriage is about family. When you start having kids, that becomes a part of your lineage.
Yeah.
How much say do parents get in this equation? Are they a major part of the algorithm?
In the modern world, probably not that much.
Not that much?
In the past, they would have had a much bigger role because of, you know, the communal living situation and other things, you know.
You know what's interesting though is that parents can be pretty passive aggressive once you get married. They can do things like not go to the wedding.
Oh yeah.
We talked about
that happened in my family.
Not be around after the kids are born.
Yep.
So there's that. So I think you know, you can do what you want, but you're not going to be happy because your parents can also do what they want, and your family can also do what they want, like by not showing up, not participating.
And, you know, fortunately, the world has changed. The world has changed. It was about almost getting close to 40 years ago when my oldest cousin got married to a guy who's African American, and sadly, that was not. It was a mess. It really was. It was, I would say, one of the worst examples growing up of racism that I was part of.
Now, was it just because he was like, okay, with Indians?
Yeah.
Is it more so? I think I already know the answer, but let's, for the viewers.
Yeah. Is
it more so, hey, we don't want this to happen because we don't want to lose our culture. These aren't our people. They don't look like us, you know, that kind of thing.
To be honest, I was too young to know a lot of it. I only knew him as being a really cool dude. That was what he was to me. He was awesome.
Are you still close with him now? You talk to him now?
Every once in a while, I'll talk to him or message him on Facebook. I would love to meet him sometime if I'm over where he is. I mean, my memories of him were always really positive.
All right, so looking at this, so using our formal model of institutionalized racism, if a black person says, hey, I don't want this person to be a part of my family, is that considered racist, or because they're not a part of the institution? And this is a question for you guys to comment on. Because it's not considered institutionalized racism. Well,
I think that
can we say we don't want them? And is it not racism at that point?
And family can have a preference. I don't know if it constitutes racism as long as it remains something that you're basically stating it's a preference, but you're still giving them a choice without being coercive.
Right.
From what I remember as a kid, what was going on there is my aunt didn't even show up for the wedding.
Okay.
She didn't show up for the wedding. She was really coercive. From the little I could understand about what was going on, because I didn't know all of it, but I definitely would have made it really difficult for my cousin and her husband to have continued to be married.
And that was the goal, to try to hurt the relationship, right? So let me give you guys a question.
At least initially.
Here's something to think about. So we're not done with this institutionalized racism thing. So let's say a black person, the black family says, I don't want you marrying this person because they're white. What's the white person's response? That's clearly racist, right? It's like fill in the blank here. I don't like this person because they're fill in the blank, black, brown, yellow, whatever. That's a racist statement. I don't like this person because that's a clearly racist statement. So to further chip away at that argument that the author of that book wrote, arguing that institutionalized racism can only be ascribed to white people, if a black person says, I don't want you marrying my son because you're white, if he says that to a white woman, that's clearly racist. But because of this definition by a white woman, she's alleviating the black person from being racist. Do you see how that works?
Yeah. I do. So
we have to throw out institutionalized racism as being considered the only form. We can leave it in place. It is there. It has its place. But at the same time, there is a more tertiary model that applies to all ethnic groups. And when you say something like, I don't like you because you're black, I don't like you because you're white, that is in fact racism. All right, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Got any final comments on that?
Well, I mean, no, not right now.
Okay. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. We are going to move into our daily stupid. We're about 25 minutes in. Today's gonna be a shorter episode, guys. So we're gonna move into our Daily Stupid. You ready for that?
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll be right back in a second.
How dare you!
We're back with the Daily Stupid.
All right.
Bart, I think I've got you outdone this time.
All right, let's see what you got.
So, as you recall, or as many of you know, there was a really tragic fire that has unfortunately claimed the lives of over 110 Hawaiians at this point, and there's still over 1,000 people missing. What has come up in the news in the last day or so is that they had a bunch of alarms and sirens that were in place that could have been used or were
times like this.
yeah, that could have been used in times like this, but they were put in to warn people of a tsunami, not really thinking about fire. And the emergency chief in charge of that area defended, he said basically he doesn't regret not using the sirens to wake people up. So for those of you who don't know, this fire hit people, I guess, in the middle of the night. And so there were a lot of people that were sleeping, and what they did was they sent out emergency text messages and tried calling people. So then, since it was the middle of the night, people didn't hear their phones.
Their phones are off.
Their phones are on silent.
My phone's on airplane mode. I would have died.
And what the EMA chief was saying is, well, I didn't sound the sirens because the sirens would have made people believe that there was a tsunami and they would have run towards the hills. But my thinking is, you know, it's really pretty stupid because as soon as someone goes out and they see that there's a fire in the hills, they wouldn't go towards the hills, especially when you have a follow-up text message and phone calls that say, hey guys, there's a fire and this is how we're using it. The system is just here to warn you and wake you up. It might have saved a lot of people's lives.
He's done for that.
Well,
and I think he's gonna go to jail.
Within the last 3 hours, he just resigned as the chief, citing health concerns.
He's gonna get prosecuted. I think I think he should be prosecuted for failure to execute good judgment. He could have saved lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous because those people didn't even have a chance.
They had no chance. They died literally in their sleep. Well, they probably woke up and it was too late. All right, Seiji, you all done
with that one.
All right, cool. So Daily Stupid, my Daily Stupid is an excessive HOA. This is an article I found on YouTube. Excessive HOA blocks homeowner from charging a car in their own garage.
You might have me beat. I mean,
I think I got you beat. Yeah. I think I got you beat.
So you're saying they can't charge their car in their own garage?
No. I'm surprised he can even park his car in the garage.
Yeah.
Well, all right, let me dig into this. Quote, this is what the guy says: I'm worried this might be a months-long ordeal. An electric vehicle owner recently took to Reddit for help after their HOA tried to interfere, understatement, with the installation of a charging station for their vehicle. As EVs get more popular, they've become battlegrounds for homeowners coping with overbearing HOAs and landlords. Some organizations have banned electric cars and e-bikes from parking garages. Interesting. Others have tried to capitalize on the situation with exploitative charger prices. Ooh. One electric truck owner was even banned from parking his electric truck in his own driveway. Oh yeah, that's a crime. This Redditor says they're having the opposite problem. After recently purchasing a Tesla in a hurry, they want to install a charging station on their side of a shared garage. This outlet would only be connected to my breaker panel with a 30A breaker, and the job would be done by a licensed electrician, he said. I explicitly stated in my proposal that I'd be responsible for all costs and that safety would be the top priority. But the HOA was skeptical of the proposal, citing concerns from board members about a potential fire hazard.
Yeah.
So, one of them is pushing for the idea of installing the outlet outside the garage and having me charge in the driveway. Okay, now let me stop there. That's actually an interesting point because there are some electric vehicles that are catching on fire. And I think it's
Correct.
Mercedes, I want to say Mercedes,
Well, there have been
There's
a couple.
one of them. There's a couple of them.
Yeah, there have been a couple Tesla fires as well.
There have been some Tesla fires, so I kind of get that. But it's his home. I get that it's shared. That makes sense. But wouldn't it make sense to say have a, well, you know what, a fire suppressant system's not going to work on an electric vehicle.
Nope, they won't.
They don't work. If you guys don't know that, fire suppressant systems don't work, and neither does water.
But you know, the thing is, when you look at it statistically, there are very few.
It's very
fires.
rare.
And you know, you could put it outside because there's chargers outside as well. But it would be nice for them to charge inside. I mean,
yeah. I mean, and then you have other HOAs telling them that they can't park their car in the driveway and charge, which is insane. So what if they're like, what if he gets caught by both? And it's like, you can't charge inside and you can't, now we can't have an EV. So in this case, he can't put his car in his garage, which to me seems discriminatory. Now here's the thing. Even if he parks outside, according to them, there was an EV fire not too long ago where the car was outside. And guess what? The house caught on fire anyway.
it wouldn't make a difference.
It wouldn't make a difference.
With that type of fire,
it caught on fire anyway. And it caught his house on fire, but it almost spread to the neighbor's house, but they were able to make sure it didn't. But I think it's a little bit of overreach. I think if you own a home, why can't she be free to put, like, what if he wanted to put another stove in there?
yeah.
Stoves catch on fire sometimes when people cook, or different appliances at home catch on fire. You know, how far can an HOA go?
They can go pretty far. but I'll tell you, if you can avoid getting a permit, you probably should.
just do it yourself?
Yeah, just do it.
DIY?
No, don't DIY with that stuff. But
oh yeah. Just have somebody do it for you and just don't say anything. And see, it'd be better.
That's what he should have done. He should have asked for forgiveness,
right?
rather than permission.
It would have been better, because then they would have never known, because his car would have been in the garage.
Yeah.
The charger would have been in there. No one would have known any better. And all he had to say was, "Well, yeah, I charge it." And he'd have to say where it charged.
It's just
he could charge it at work.
Well, the thing is, I didn't know. I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I mean, it's a law in in California, we're all switching over to electric cars by 2035. So, you know, I was just jumping on board and I had no idea.
Right.
I mean, I don't know where that article's from, but
it's Yahoo. It's from Reddit, but it was on Yahoo. All right, guys, we're losing light here. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up this episode. Any further comments?
Nope. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll have something exciting for you next week.
All right, guys, and as always, we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.